show up and make them stop. Wanna know my name so badly, close that I'ma change the game.
Hi everyone, welcome to a special edition of ChillCast. I am one of the hosts alongside Yuan. I'm the founder of Piranha. So ChillCast is a series of interviews and podcasts where we talk to a lot of the exciting projects in this space. So today I am excited to be joined by Caitlin in our Chicago office, our Cube Chicago office, highlighting builders in the city's ecosystem. So welcome, Caitlin.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, super excited to be doing an in-person IRL episode because we don't get to do a lot of these.
They're the best.
Let's start with the project. Let's talk about Moonwalk. I've been walking around on my treadmill in the office, as many people here know. Moonwalk is a health app?
Fitness accountability app.
Okay, there we go. Fitness accountability app. So yeah, tell us more.
Yeah. So again, Moonwalk is a fitness accountability app basically built off the premise of, everyone talks about health now. It's re-entered the cultural zeitgeist of something that is, cool to care about. We've seen people like Brian Johnson, Andrew Huberman, the current administration in the US also focusing on health in one way or another. And it's just coming back into the conversation. But a lot of the ways that people focus on health or the way that they approach it, using New Year's resolutions as an example, is done kind of in the wrong way. They pick something that's really unattainable in the day-to-day, ultimately unsustainable, whether it's super strict diets or really complex workout plans. So we kind of took the opposite approach with Moonwalk, where the main issue with a lot of those goals that people set is accountability. And when you go by willpower alone and you set, maybe an unrealistic goal to sustain, it's often really hard to keep up with. And that's why we see so many people fail over the long run, where they're not even actually getting the full benefits of what they're trying to do. So with Moonwalk, we sort of took the opposite approach, which is what is the easiest low lift thing that the highest number of people can do no matter where they are, not needing specific equipment, not needing a specific setting, and not, something that's super costly. And that's literally just increasing your step count, whether that's walking or running, dancing, just moving more in a day and activating your muscles is one of the most net positive things that you can do. And you can do it no matter how old you are, no matter where you are. And any increase in that average step count is going to have positive impacts for you.
Yeah, for real. I think a lot of people want to suddenly get super in shape, but actually going from, long time ago, participated in a program called Couch to 5K. Mm-hmm. It was like some government sponsored free running training program. That was great because it literally starts off with anybody who can walk can start walking slightly more every day. And then with enough time, you can become like a pro walker, eventually pro runner. Hopefully that's long-term, super good for people's health, reduces many of your stress factors. Lots of scientific studies.
Yeah. Literally everything that you can think of for body and mind, any sort of chronic disease, weight loss, weight maintenance, for your muscles and your joints. And then mental health as well. I talk about a lot. I have a ton of anxiety. So it's one of the best things that I've done is increase my step count. And then it also can lower symptoms with depression and all different kinds of things. So pretty much anything you can think of, walking's probably going to have a positive effect. It's just not, I think it's super underrated in the sense that it's not the sexy, difficult thing.
Yeah.
But most of the things that actually last that you can integrate are simple. It's just not as flashy, and it's not as cool for people to say, where it's oh yeah, I walk 10,000 steps a day, instead of, oh, I'm doing 75 hard, or I'm training for a marathon or something.
Right. 100%. But it's the easiest thing that people can start doing. And I think one of the questions people might have is, how do you get so many steps in a day?
Yeah, the first advice on that is breaking it up. It's not something that you should approach kids approach their homework, where it's waiting until right before it's due and trying to get it done. It's actually better for you and just better in terms of how you manage it to get it done incrementally throughout the day. So for me personally, I've been trying to wake up earlier. Since it's warmer out in Chicago, I've been going for walks in the morning, and then I walk to the office and back. That adds up. I walk at the office. I take super short breaks throughout the day, which is also good just for thinking and focus. Taking those little walking breaks make a big difference. And then you could even do walking 10 to 15 minutes after every meal. It's really good for digestion. And then that's also a good way to earmark that you're walking for at least a short stretch multiple times a day. And then walking after work as well. It's just a good way to wind down. Yeah. I have a walking pad similar to what you have in the office, I have at my apartment. And sometimes if I don't feel like sitting, watching TV or, watching videos or something, I'll just walk on my walking pad.
Yeah, I think everybody should have a walking pad.
Especially in the winters here. Like, it's so hard to go outside. And I get why people don't.
Outside in Chicago. Let's talk about how Moonwalk works. So a lot of our audiences are bilingual. Many of them came into Solana perhaps through Step-In or similar projects in the past. I know Moonwalk is extremely different, but would love for you to highlight how Moonwalk approaches this problem differently, and also how can people participate?
Yeah, so we'll start with what people were used to, which is like Step-In, Sweatcoin, the more the legacy move to earn products, which at their peak, to their credit, were like the most highly used apps in crypto. Like, the numbers were crazy. Everyone was using it. Non-crypto people were using it. But it's pretty crazy to look back now, because if you think about the user experience for those, it was like, oh, you have to buy an NFT. That NFT dictates how much of the in-app token you can earn in a day. You can trade that NFT on secondary. You need a crypto wallet to join. So it's like all of these different things that if you explained it to the average person, it's going to be a little bit confusing. It's going to be a lot of bottlenecks where it's like, I don't know how to do that. So maybe it deters them. And it was a bit more like an individual platform, I guess, if you will. Like, I was coming, like, you'd be coming to it and wanting to, earn as much of the token as you can in a day, kind of just like racking up as much tokens as you can and just kind of doing it that way. And what we saw with that was it was ultimately like a very unsustainable model, because the entire premise of the product and its success and people flocking to it was based on the notion that its in-app token would go up in value. And what we saw after a while was there were like tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people using this product. And it was just
AKA robot.
Yeah, lots of bots, but just expecting that the token was going to keep going up and to the right. And when that didn't sustain itself, then, if that's all that you're using the product for, then what are you going to use it for at that point? So they saw a massive drop off in user, and, people still use the product today, but it never really recovered from that peak. And if you look at the token price, it did that as well. I always say if you're leading with token instead of the product, the token is the product, not the product itself. And that's a really hard thing to unwind in terms of incentivizing users. And you never really figure out if the product itself has PMF, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think a lot of crypto projects run into this exact issue, which is when you have a token, people's entire focus is on the token. But with Moonwalk, you can sign up without a wallet, you can participate without paying anything, or you get XP, right?
Yeah. So the way Moonwalk works instead, we try to, one, make sure it's actually a sustainable model, which is very important. We're like building for the long run and doing the consumer app thing that people always talk about and rarely actually build for in practice, which is we want to make this product built on Solana, but look and feel like a Web2 app that people are used to, where it's not foreign to them. It's just something that has a strong value prop. It makes sense, and it's not difficult to onboard to. So right now, and just talking about the experience and how the game works. So the Moonwalk Fitness app is in iOS and Android, like the App Store and Google Play. So you can just download that on any device that you have. You create your username, you connect a step tracker. Right now, that can be either Apple Health, Fitbit, Google Fit, or Garmin. We just added Garmin, which is exciting. And just because you need something to be able to track your steps and verify you're doing the activity, we don't want to tell people what tech to use. We just want to have more and more options available. So we'll be adding more as we go, depending on the data we can get access to. But once you're on the app, there's dozens of different games that you can join at a time. And those games have 3 characteristics. It lasts a certain number of days. There's a daily step goal per day. And each game has an average, or has a entry deposit. Right now, the entry deposit is USDC, Solana, or Bonk. But the way that the game works, see, there we go, is if you put your money up to join the game, you're effectively staking your entry deposit. You join the game. When the game begins, if you hit the daily step goal every single day, or in other words, do what you're supposed to do and hold yourself accountable, you get all of that money back at the end of the game. And if you miss the step goal on one or several days, you lose a portion of your deposit. So say you and I are in a game that lasts 5 days, there's a 10,000 step goal per day, and we put up 100 USDC each. Maybe it's just us, maybe there are 100 people, 200, doesn't matter. I hit the step goal 4 out of 5 days. I'm traveling and miss a day. 1/5 of the 100 USDC, so 20 USDC is taken from me and goes to a prize pool. I claim back 80 USDC at the end. If you hit 5 out of 5 days, you get all of your money back as just a baseline. And then you get to split the prize pool alongside the other winners, who are the people who are hitting the goal consistently. So I call it gamified accountability. It's basically using loss aversion, which is super powerful. And then also using opportunity for financial reward to actually drive people to hold themselves accountable, which when it's your own willpower alone, you often will wake up and be like, oh man, I don't want to do that. Or I forgot and it's like 11 p.m. and I didn't do it. I guess I'll do it tomorrow. So this is just helping with turning it into an actual healthy habit long enough to be a lifestyle, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's actually so true. I think of like, even in China, you have group fitness classes, but here actually it exists in China too. Class Pass is something that exists in both places. If you don't show up, if you sign up for a class and you don't show up, they actually fine you a lot more. And it makes no sense because you already paid for the class. Yeah. But in doing so, people actually show up. They have like excellent turn up, right? Nobody wants to pay like
restaurants do it too.
$30. Yeah,
like
exactly.
You can make reservations in Chicago. I know they do it. Like a nice restaurant, it'll be like, oh, it's $2 or $3 a head for your reservation if you don't show up. And like it's like it goes towards your bill or something, right? Even that small amount of money, it doesn't have to be much, but it like puts an anchor in the person's head just from like a behavioral finance perspective. If you think you're going to lose money, it doesn't need to be a lot. Your brain is just like, this is important and I need to do it. So like we're kind of doing everything based off of that. And then to your point as well, like the social part of it's super important with fitness. I think it's really easy for it to feel isolating. So if you're not doing it alongside a group of others, maybe you get discouraged. We've had a lot of people say that having the sort of like supportive community aspect of it is helpful because you're competing against, it's not even really competing against, you're kind of just like in a game with people who all have the same goals. So it's pretty motivating to like have that. And I think the social accountability part, like if I'm in a game with my friends, I don't want to miss my goal. Someone's going to mock me if I miss my goal. So like you want to perform. And I think that helps with the consistency as well.
Yeah. And peer pressure when used correctly is a very positive learning tool. Also, want to ask, how have you guys approached growth for like non-crypto user adoption?
So it's kind of an ongoing process as the product develops. So just I'm doing like growth, right? Which in this space is just like 20 different hats for different things. So one of those things is marketing, and we haven't put spend into Web2 marketing yet because in my opinion, the product is not to a place where it would be worthwhile to do so. So as the product progresses, that'll be something that we approach a bit more. Right now, most of the user base is either like crypto or crypto adjacent. You don't need a crypto wallet or crypto to join a game. We have spectator mode, which allows people to join a game for free, which my mom uses spectator mode. She has not understood a thing I've done in crypto in 5 years. So it's doable, right? But I think not being able to put money on the line sort of misses, one portion of the equation for why it works. But to sign into the app, you can sign up with phone number, with email, with Apple, with Google, and that's all allowing you to have an embedded wallet in the app. So you don't need a Phantom or Soulflare wallet. But if you are a crypto native person, you can sign in with those options as well. So we have both, but the user base right now is largely crypto based. And as we add in like fiat on-ramp and off-ramp and make the product like a little bit more friendly, which we're working on right now, and adding a bunch of social features, which I think makes it a lot stickier and more fun, then we'll start deploying more money and time and resources into like finding the right people in the fitness industry who would latch onto a product like this or who have a community and want to activate that community in some way. We're not charging people to make games. The only cost is like the transaction on chain, which as we know, shout out to Solana, is very low. So I think once we have all of those sort of baseline things in place, it'll be way easier to have conversations with people because the product itself is like, it's very positive, and there's very few people I've talked to who haven't wanted to interact with it in some way or who haven't gotten it. Like it just makes sense.
Right.
And I think just because it's so positive and feel good all around that I don't think we're going to have a super hard time, but the experience is everything. And that's kind of like what we're working on right now.
Yeah. I'm trying to think like there's some super passionate people. I have a friend who told me like, legitimately got really quite injured because she was trying to hit her Strava goals.
Oh my gosh. I hope she's okay.
She's doing great now, but she was like so excited to hit all her Strava goals and get Strava points, which are, unlike crypto points, not worth anything. Right. But people are just super excited to do that. And like on Garmin, you have Garmin challenges and all sorts of things like this. I can see so many like endless possibilities of having a group of people work towards a goal or like work towards something meaningful. Can you talk about the latest partnership or charity that you're
Oh yeah. So depending on when this episode comes out, but we're doing a charity event. We've never done this before, and I'm very excited about this. I haven't talked about it yet, so we can talk about it here, but we're hosting our first global charity game. And basically the idea is that like even small micro donations done in large quantities can be really, really powerful and really add up. So we're using that, but we also want to, of course, onboard new users to the platform, and hosting sponsor games has been a really, really big driver, because basically a sponsor game is people or the project running the game will add extra money to the prize pool to incentivize people to sign up. So you're making, the yields or, what you win in a Moonwalk game isn't like step-in style where it's like unsustainable, like who's footing the bill on this type of numbers. But that's ultimately going back to like why the product is sustainable. Any money that you're earning is coming from other players, and that doesn't matter how many people are participating. The model's the same no matter what. It's scalable up and down, and it's like highly liquid, widely held tokens on Solana. So it's like USDC Sol Bonk again. It's not like in-app token that everything's predicated on. We're going to be doing a charity game that effectively is bringing in different teams from the Solana ecosystem. We've gotten tens of thousands in donations, and basically the way it's going to work is 50% of the USDC that we've got in donations is going to go directly to charities, animal charities, and the other 50% is going to go directly to the sponsor prize pool for the game. So, sure, you could get a lot of projects that, just donate money and it goes directly to the cause, but we want to get people moving. We want to have like an actual activation alongside this charity fundraise. And we want to get people onto Moonwalk and moving more daily. So introducing them to the product. And it's literally going to be, I think, probably at least $15,000 in the prize pool. But then if you think about that, like 50-50, so that's 100% match to direct donations to charities. So 15,000 at least, and growing still. And then if we got the entry deposit is going to be 10 USDC per person, which to you or I, it's like, a small amount. Sure, I like charity, I'll do this. But if we get 2,000 people in a game, our biggest game ever, I want to say, is maybe like 2,000 or 3,000 people, multiply that by like $10 a head, and that's a ton of money for charity as well. So I'm super excited to test it out. We've never done it before, but I think this is something that we could replicate in the future, and that stuff really does add up. So I'm excited about it.
Yeah, me too. I'm going to participate in that one. And for cultural context, maybe just to add, in like Western world, it's super common to run for charity or like race for charity. It's really powerful because instead of just directly donating, you're tying an action and you're giving your like action meaning, but also doing good for the world. So like doing something healthy for yourself, but also doing something good for others. So totally. I think it's a really good idea.
Yeah, I think this model will take off broadly too, where there's so many different things that we can do with it. Because to your point, like charity fun runs or virtual 5Ks or 10Ks, whatever the distance, people will just donate money. And typically what happens, from my understanding, is like you'll get a t-shirt in the mail with a bib and like, there's maybe one day that everyone does the activity, but like there's not a way to actually track or verify that the people who signed up did those things, and they're not really getting necessarily like rewarded. So I think having that nice sort of back and forth where, everyone's winning in a way, I think will be like a really nice twist.
For sure. The leaderboard also is so real. You can see everybody.
People go crazy with that. We've had people like posting and they're getting like tens of thousands of steps in a day. And, I've like verified obviously because, we have like anti-cheating mechanisms and whatnot to like combat against people trying to cheat.
So
but
try to bot.
We have people who legitimately have shown the timestamps and shown when they're outside doing this, and they'll spend all day, which is crazy because the whole point, it's structured in a way where we don't want people to cheat. So it's more, and we want people to actually build healthy habits. So it's more about hitting the minimum daily goal rather than awarding the person who gets the most steps. Yeah. Which I think is also like maybe a difference with like step in. I'm not super familiar on that part, but it is crazy. People will get competitive no matter what, even if it doesn't financially benefit them. It's more like for their pride, which is, hey, whatever works.
Whatever works for them.
Just don't get hurt.
Yeah.
Walk responsibly.
Walking is a safe sport. Really.
It should be. You got to watch out for traffic and maybe not max out the step count every single day and make sure you stretch.
For real. Oh yeah, make sure you stretch. Cool. Anything else we should cover?
No, I mean, if you haven't used it yet, just sign up in the App Store or Google Play, download it, give it a try. Again, you can join games for free, so really no excuse to not try it out. You can create your own games for like groups of friends or your family or your communities. We have a bunch of like crypto communities that host games regularly. And then we're going to be announcing like a bunch of new like features and upgrades, which I'm super excited about, because the best part is, you know, we have a baseline product that I think stands to do very well, but making the experience way better is kind of priority number one before we add new things. But we're working on a little bit of both. Nice. So I think it's going to make it much more like interactive and fun.
Super excited. Thank you so much for coming on to ChillCast IRL for once.
Thanks for having me.
Hey.
在此提醒大家，所有内容均不构成投资建议，都是我跟瑶瑶作为行业知识研究的产出，还有嘉宾的言论也是他们的个人言论，希望大家做自己的研究。
道路千万条，安全第一条，做自己的研究，让我们增强知识，然后在链上开心玩耍。欢迎关注安娜和瑶瑶 Talk， 然后我们会有更多行业一线前沿的资讯跟大家进行分享，非常感谢。